Welcome to SarkariTel.com and DiplomacyIndia.com. As you know, Israel has been struck by rockets from the other side of the border. And today we have a very special guest joining from New Delhi, the Deputy Chief of Mission from the Israel Embassy. So, welcome, ma'am. If you could tell us what exactly is the situation and how you are dealing with it.
Well, we've had several days of rocket fire on Israel. It started actually on the 11th, on Tuesday night, when Hamas at 6 o'clock in the evening fired rockets on Jerusalem, the holy city, a city that is considered holy by Jews and Muslims and Christians. And all of a sudden they decided they're firing rockets at Jerusalem. And then it expanded from there all over Israel. We've had 1,200 rockets fired at us over the past 3 days, covering almost the entire country, from the south and the center, and this last night it was even into the north of Israel. And it means that millions of Israelis are running to their bomb shelters. Some have bomb shelters in their homes. If their homes were built, they have to run quite a distance, or they have to go into their stairwells in order to be protected from the bombs. We've had 7 people killed, including a 6-year-old boy, including an Indian woman, a caregiver who was in Ashkelon taking care of an old lady there, and she didn't make it to the bomb shelter in time. She was talking to her family on the phone, telling them that she's running to the shelter, and they heard a bombing, which was really quite horrendous. I can't imagine what it must be like for her husband, remembering those last moments talking to her. We had 2 Arab Israelis in Lod, a father and a daughter, killed by a rocket. These rockets are being sent over by Hamas, and they don't differentiate between Israeli Jew, Israeli Arab, or Indian. And it's really an atrocious situation. And Israel has been responding. We have been firing back at Gaza, but our fire is more accurate, where Hamas is firing indiscriminately on residential areas. And we see that every hit that they've had has been on a home. It hasn't been on any sort of military installation or anything like that. All of their hits have been just on homes, on private cars, on buses and carrying people. Our hits are accurate on buildings which house Hamas infrastructure. We warn civilians who are living in those buildings in advance that the building is going to take a hit, that they should get out of the building. They don't always do that because Hamas is holding them hostage. Hamas is not allowing them to leave, and Hamas is using them as human shields. But we are warning them, and our hits are accurate. We've been able to take out senior people from the Hamas leadership. We've been able to take out many different kinds of installations, and we hope that we will be able in the coming days to de-escalate the situation. Our aim is to make sure that Hamas stops its firing of rockets and that it doesn't come back to it in the future. We don't want the firing to stop now, and then in 2 weeks or 3 weeks' time for them to start firing rockets on the communities around Gaza again. We want the firing to stop, and to stop for good.
As you mentioned that there was one Indian which was killed. Any plans to bring that back to India? Are you coordinating with the Indian embassy in Israel?
Yes, the Indian embassy in Israel is taking care of all of the logistics, to get with the help of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the consular division of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which is very much involved in it, and the National Insurance Institute, which takes care of the family and all of the expenses related to that. In a previous position, that was actually my job. I did that during the second Lebanon War, I mean, where there were also some foreign workers who were hit during that time, and we work very closely with the embassy in order to make sure that the body is brought back with all the dignity. The family is treated well. We make family gets compensation, although nothing can compensate on the loss. But we do make sure that they get some monetary compensation, and that the body is brought back in a dignified manner and with all the respect.
You talked about
And
the
in
de-escalation.
fact, the ambassador spoke with the family yesterday. I'm sorry?
Ma'am, you talked about the de-escalation. What would be Israel's initiative to, de-escalate the situation now?
Well, before this even started, we were trying to de-escalate the situation in Jerusalem, because it started around events in Jerusalem, around events on the Temple Mount. And it was Jerusalem Day for us, which is the celebration of the reunification of Jerusalem, which is the capital of the Jewish people for 3,000 years. And so we changed the route of a march, which would have been very inflammatory. We changed the route of it, and then we canceled it. There was a court case about the real estate issue in Sheikh Jarrah, and so we delayed the court case in order to try to calm down the situation first. And every step that we took to de-escalate the situation was met by more and more violence from the side of Hamas. Hamas isn't interested in de-escalating. They have been firing things up for several weeks already. They were hoping for elections in the Palestinian Authority. This is a matter which has nothing to do with Israel. They were hoping for elections there. They thought that they would do well in the elections. The Palestinian Authority, for reasons of its own, which have nothing to do with Israel, canceled them. I'm not quite sure which, and that got Hamas angry, and so they decided to steer things up in Jerusalem, in the West Bank, in Gaza, and this is the result.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for joining on this very special broadcast. Thank you very much.